Once a cop, let it knock, yeah. I for one thing we should celebrate redemption instead of condemning it. Corey Pegues, up, talking truth, bruh. Check it out. Once a cop.
Pull up a seat. You're now in Corey's Corner, where right conversations matter. I'm your host, Corey Pegues, and I always keep it right, not real. Today's guest is a leader who represents the heart, hustle, and diversity of what many call the world's borough. From Southeast Queens to Borough Hall, Donovan Richards Jr. has built a career rooted in service, resilience, and impact. After experiencing personal loss at a young age, he turned pain into purpose, stepping into public service and rising through the ranks of New York City leadership. As Queens Borough President, he delivered over $400 million in investments across schools, hospitals, parks, and cultural institutions, while championing immigrants, small businesses, and climate resilience. Whether it's rebuilding after COVID-19, responding to Hurricane Ida, or driving major economic development like JF Airport's transformation, his leadership is shaping the future of Queens in real time. Let's get into it, because this is more than politics. It's about legacy, leadership, and lifting communities. Donovan Richards, Borough President of Queens, New York.
Let's do it. We're finally here.
Thank you for coming on. We've been waiting for you, man. We've been waiting for you.
Wait no more.
Yes. This episode of Corey's Corner is brought to you by Vodka. Vodka is a smooth, world's first premium blend of tequila and vodka, infused in one smooth, unforgettable spirit. Whether celebrating success or unwinding after a long week, choose the spirit that's refined in the game. Visit vodka.net to learn more. And remember, always drink responsibly. Shout out to Corrupt Mob MC, a brotherhood built on loyalty, respect, and community. More than a motorcycle club. Respect them all. Corey's Corner is powered by Story to Tell Productions. If you're serious about starting a podcast or taking your production to the next level, this is the team you need. Reach out to Story to Tell Productions and get it done right. Okay, Queensboro President. That sounds so nice. Meeting you years ago, you city councilman, and probably even before then. You always been out, and now you running Queens. I love it.
23 years, man.
Yes, you know I'm born and bred in Queens. You know Queens get the money.
Queens gets the money.
And have all the honeys.
Exactly. But I only got one, and that's the First Lady of Queens.
That's the First Lady of Queens. Shout out to the First Lady of Queens.
Richards.
Exactly. Madam Richards, shout out to you. Glad you got that on camera. Yeah.
I still got to go home.
You're a lifelong Queens native. What does Queens mean to you personally beyond politics?
You know, Queens is, and I have even a deeper appreciation as the borough president. You think of how diverse we are. 190 countries, 360 languages and dialects are spoken in Queens. So, you know, I come from Jamaican heritage. My father migrated here from Jamaica in his teens. Just became a citizen, by the way. In 2020, the first election he can vote in was mine.
Wow.
For BP.
Nice.
So, you know, I've lived in, you know, my parents were teenagers when they had me. They were, my mother was 17, 18, and we lived all over Southeast Queens. And there are just so many great memories, from Circle 5 in Rochdale to every basement in Springfield to Jamaica. You know, this borough, it's just a special place where, you know what, we're very diverse, but we all coexist with each other.
Exactly.
Every once in a while, there's some hate crime stuff that pops up, which is not good. But for the most part, we're a vibrant borough. You know, I really appreciate Southeast Queens in particular. You know, a lot of civil service workers, a lot of civil servants. You know, we had some great examples of working class Black and brown folks. That is not very unusual, right? Because you think of how in Southeast Queens, Blacks on average earn more than whites. And this is the hotbed of home ownership, by the way, where you have more education and more home ownership. Yeah. And then, you know, we could get to the street stuff a little bit. Like, I grew up with the Lost Boys. I went to Jamaica High School.
Yes.
That wasn't always pleasant being on 165, but sort of what I would describe is, like, I always had a deep appreciation for the education I received in the School of Hard Knocks.
Right.
it's Southeast Queens. So it's the perfect blend of a borough where, you know, you see success, you also see the challenges, and then you marry the two, and that makes you better.
Right. Well, let me just say, this is not on the cards. You are one of the only borough presidents that's everywhere. You're all over the place, like you said, Lost Boys. I saw you do the dedication. God bless Freaky Ty. Rest in peace to Freaky Ty. You over there. I just saw you last week in Far Rockaway announcing something major. We know what you did in COVID. We're going to talk about. You're everywhere. And they got Brooklyn, Staten Island, all these other borough presidents. I don't see them outside like you. So let me ask you a question. When people from Queens see you, how do they address you? Mr. Borough President, or some people just run up to you, hey, Donovan, how you doing?
You know what I have, and I don't get caught up in the title stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Long
some
as-
people,
long as the
you
check
gotta
say
be
it.
Borough President. Get up and, you know, I remember my first day in Borough Hall, by the way. I'm literally dressed down in jeans. I packed up my boxes to bring them in.
Right, right.
And I walk into my own office. You can't make this up.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy says, "Who are you?" Guy says, "Who are you?" And he looks at me. I said, "I'm the borough president." "You're the borough president?" I had a hoodie, and every time I walk through Borough Hall, this guy rises like, "Donovan!" I just crack up every morning because I'm like, "You dude, I remember you." And yes, get used to seeing people like me here. But the point is, 122 years, I'm the first black man to assume this position in the borough. Helen Marshall preceded me. I was the first African American.
Yes.
I'm the first African American male. And we're, you know, I'm here, and you talked about turning pain into purpose. Why am I everywhere? Because I recognize, especially during this time in history when people feel stretched, and even I feel stretched a lot of days, right? You know, Donovan don't really get to handle Donovan's business.
Right, right.
But the bottom line is showing up is everything to people. And it's just not about showing up. It's what are the tangible things we're doing in the community to uplift the communities. So I could talk about a new Roy Wilkins Center. I could talk about a new Boys and Girls Club in Astoria. I can talk about, you know, we talk about public safety. We know parts of our communities weren't even covered by a precinct if you lived in Rosedale, Laurelton, securing $140 million to build that precinct out. You know, investing in Jamaica High School. Matter of fact, I've invested over $10 million in Jamaica High School. And I did that because I nearly failed out of the school, by the way.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, hold on, we might have to get the feds on this. You just left Andrew Jackson out.
Oh, Andrew's getting love. I just opened up. Matter of fact, for Andrew, I just opened up a new. They're teaching
They got
kids.
3 schools in there now, right?
I know this is blanking on the school, but they're really focused in on STEM and also gaming. So we just opened a gaming software lounge in the school just a few weeks ago.
Wow.
It's about almost a $500,000 investment from us.
Nice.
They have a paramedics program. So these kids are leaving with certification, by the way.
That's good. That's what we had when we were. They don't have no skills no more. No more skills.
So let's get back into Andrew Jackson for a second. Andrew Jackson has 3 schools in it. I think it's the Hart School that we funded. I mean, we funded all the schools. Technology, we're doing more tech. Another school in it this year. But the big focus last year was on gaming. You can earn 6 figures, my brother, coming out. And the principal there is phenomenal. We invested close to $500,000 for this gaming lounge. You just have to go and experience it because, and matter of fact, their graduation rates in Andrew Jackson from those investments have gone, I think it was like something ranging around 60, 70%. Graduation rates are like at 92% in the school now.
Oh, that's good.
So, and also we cut a lot of the, you know, we cut school. I cut school at Jamaica High School for sure, but their attendance has increased dramatically since they've had these programs. So they just had a drone light show. These kids are building drones and then flying them, and then they have to get approval to fly the drones, like the FBI, the CIA. And they literally are in the school working with these kids, and they show up to the drone show. So there's a lot of good, despite the noise out there, that is happening in our schools across Queens.
What's one thing most people be surprised to learn about you?
I mean, I'm a decent basketball player.
Listen, we too old. Don't let me catch you out there. President.
I was just in Rochdale. We did the playground over the basketball courts over, and I was crossing over Sean over there.
And you was crossing over Sean?
Oh yeah, in a suit.
Listen,
it's embarrassing,
all my friends, y'all gotta stop, man. Your ACL, you're gonna pop your Achilles. Y'all keep playing. Only thing I'm doing, all this is shooting foul shots. Let me shoot the foul shot.
Listen, I'm the LeBron of politics, man.
Now, you lost a very close friend at a young age. I don't know if you want to expand on it, but how did that moment shape your path into public service?
Listen, I had no thoughts of ever getting into public service, and I'll tell you, my friend Puba, God rest his soul, he would have been 43 this year. And, you know, I'm an 18-year-old kid in Southeast Queens just trying to figure it out. And unfortunately, he gets shot and killed at 19. Matter of fact, I was away at school when I got the news that he got shot and killed. And we were two peas in the pod. Like, one of my first drinks was with him. Cut in school. One of my first parties at 14 or 15 was with him. And, he was just such a great dude. I did dunk on him, by the way. I did physically dunk on him. That's when I had up. So, yeah, you're right. We got to let it go. Yeah. But he was just a good brother. And I had got caught up in some situations, but had changed his life around. Unfortunately, it was a little too late because he knew too much information. Right. And, he gets home from work or something and, somebody calls him up, he knows, and he opens the gate. They talk for a second. He turns his back and they shot him in the head. Wow. Shot him in the head, shot him in the back. And his little sister found him in the grass. Wow. On South Side. Yeah. So going to his funeral, it really shook all of us on the block up, by the way. And some of us wanted to do retribution, but I sort of went into the space of let's not do that because that's just going to cause more bodies. Exactly. But two, how do we do something to make sure this doesn't happen again? Right. So I end up at a gun violence meeting by Mothers Against Guns. I don't know if you remember Elizabeth Goldsmith. And so I just happened to go to this meeting. I'm like, I'm going to go. And I'm there. I'm the youngest guy. And then James Sanders, the city council member, he's like, oh, you come to another one of my meetings. And so I went to a meeting at the Bridge Home in Springfield that he was holding. I was like, these politicians are clowns, And but then subsequently, November 2003, he offers me a position in his office. Okay. And I come in, I got Tim's on. I didn't even come, I think I had just got my hair braided. Surprisingly, I did have hair at one point. I had to take the braids out for the interview. Yeah. That's why I got these lines in my head. But he hires me on the spot, and I start the equivalent of a man with a broom and a dustpan. Right. And work my way through every position at that office, and then ran in 2013 and won.
Nice. So before holding office, you worked behind the scene in
10 years.
In city
10
council.
years in the city council.
I'm talking about city council. Right. What lessons did that experience teach you about how government really works?
Listen, I go back to one of my first constituents who just reached out to me, actually, a lady by the name of Maddie. She was living in a homeless shelter, I think in Brooklyn at the time, but she was from Queens, and her kids were getting assaulted in the shelter. So they had something called the Green Book. So, I looked through the Green Book and I'm like, okay, let me call the Department of Homeless Services about this issue. Right. And man, when I got that woman a transfer, it just opened up a whole new world to me because she had about 4 or 5 kids. Right. I would give them little on the low, Christmas is here. Right. Here's some presents, come by. And she went on to become a traffic agent, actually. So she started to, through that stability of finally having a shelter her kids felt safe in. Right. And then she moved into her own apartment eventually. Right. And all her kids graduated, which I'm most proud of. And they live down south now. But that sort of opened up the doors to me. Then I'm like, oh shit, I could fill the pothole. Right. Oh, I could get the traffic lights. When you pass Brookfield Park, all those speed bumps are me. Okay. 140th, good. I know she was just complaining. I got that traffic light on 140th Avenue right here.
Please get us a light out here.
I'm going to ask them to redesign this intersection. But the point is like, you really have a front row seat in how to navigate. And most people would never know. They just show up. They show up to a brand new park. They think it just happened. Yeah. It didn't just happen. Somebody had to fund it. So I pretty much worked every position in that office, started as a constituent liaison to scheduling to district manager to legislative director to budget director to deputy chief of staff. Then finally 2011, 12, I become the chief of staff. And so it was a long journey. Nothing was given to us. Nothing was given to us. Yeah.
It's fun. I guess it's a marathon. No one wants to do the marathon, 26.5 miles. Everyone wants to do the 100-yard dash.
Especially nowadays.
It's not a sprint. You've done all of this work to get where you are, and I know it's bigger things on the horizon. And I know your politicians always say, no, I just want to be the Queens Borough President, but there's bigger things on the horizon for you. You study aviation management. I didn't realize that. Yes. You and Clyde Bendel, my man Winston Faison, I got all these brothers doing aviation that I didn't know about. Yes. So how did that background influence your approach to infrastructure and development?
Well, one, when I was working for Councilmember Sanders back then, he was the chair of economic development. So they were renegotiating in terms of JFK and LaGuardia. And I walk into like this meeting and I just got I was so interested in like, oh my
Right.
goodness, like, and I'm literally working on the deal with him. I don't know what I'm doing, but like he's sending me into these rooms with like this other council member. And I just remember sitting there saying, well, I never thought I was going to run for office. I mean, that wasn't even a thought then. This probably goes back to 2008. I want to say 7, 8, 2007-ish, 2005, between 2005, 2007. So I'm like, oh, if I leave, then I'll just go run the airport.
Right.
And so I ended up at Vaughn, out of scholarship. I couldn't even afford the college, to tell you the truth. But
that's right there, Vaughn in Astoria.
Yep.
Okay.
So I speak to the president of the school. I'm like, listen, I don't got the money. I'm living in Far Rockaway.
Right.
I'm like, hey, I just want to try to make it.
Right.
And he was like, you know what? Pay what you can while you can. And then eventually I got a scholarship.
God damn, who that
and I
president?
finished my associate.
I got a couple of kids.
And it was unique. He was a white guy, but he was from the Bronx.
Okay.
And somebody gave him a shot.
Right.
So he gave me a shot.
I love it.
And, I didn't disappoint. My grades were on point. I think the only class I ever failed there was like Calculus 2 or something. And then I went back and repeated and do it again. Right. But the bottom line is aviation is in our backyard. Yes. You got JFK and LaGuardia. I'm overseeing the $20 billion redevelopment of JFK. Yes. So when I get into the space with the airlines and I'm having a conversation, I'm like, no. I know where the AIP funds are. I studied this stuff in school.
Wow.
So we can have a real educated conversation with them on what they're doing, what they're not doing. And I'm going to tell you right now, through the $20 billion redevelopment, we've done $2 billion for Queens-based small businesses, by the way.
Wow. That's
and
nice.
You got people from Queensbridge who have contracts now cleaning the terminals, like real tangible. You have people from Queens, from Southeast Queens, who now have restaurants.
Yes.
In the airport. Think about it. There was never a Golden Crust in JFK.
No.
Now you got it. And we'll be opening up Terminal 8 in a few weeks. So you're going to see more Queens-based businesses. Down to the art, by the way, in the airports. Oh, really? Artists from Queens are doing the designs of Terminal 1 and all of these terminals. So we've been very intentional on ensuring that our communities benefit. This is 10,000 jobs, 6,000 of them union. And this is really about upward mobility for the community. Well, and let me just tie in August Martin High School quick, because most people don't know August Martin was the first Black commercial airline pilot in the country.
Oh, his name was August Martin.
His name was August Martin, and a lot of us don't know that. But why was the aviation program lacking in August Martin if he was the first Black airline pilot? So we've now inked the deal, and we're going to cut the ribbon in a few weeks on a brand new aviation. I want to call it a studio, right? But it's going to have a lecture hall in it, and then it has, they have 2 flight simulators. I think JetBlue might have donated one. So these kids in August Martin were defying the odds. Some of them are pilots already, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. Some of them are flying. In August Martin High School. They've graduated, I think one year it was 8 or 9 of them became pilots.
Oh, nice.
But without the resources. So we went in and put millions in, and then we spoke to the chancellor and said, you have to fix this issue. This has to be a premier aviation school. Aviation High School has all the programs. Right. Up in Sunnyside. Exactly. So now they're working, we forged a partnership, and they're working to help them get the accreditation. So
that's beautiful.
Think about air. Most people don't know about aviation. 6-figure starting. Yeah. You talk about upward mobility, the Georgia Air Traffic Control. You look at what happened at LaGuardia the other day. Yes. These are 6-figure. You could be relocated. There's such a shortage that the airports will pay you to relocate. So one person I know has a contract in the Bahamas. Think about that.
Wow. Well, I'm happy to tell you that my niece is in high school right now. She's graduating in 2 months, and she wants to be a pilot. So DSU.
Where is she at? Is she at August?
No, she goes to school in Long Island, but she's graduating. She's good. DSU has the number one, I think, one of the top pilot programs. She applied to Delaware State.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good. And you know about the partnership we have in Queens with DSU, with Delaware State.
Right. University. I saw that.
So I just announced a $500,000 for technology, and the kids convinced me while I was there to give them another $1.5 million for STEM center. I was like, you want more money? You got to convince me right now. But when you graduate from the HBCU high school, you automatically you leave with associates, by the way.
I know.
Then you're granted automatic entrance into Delaware State University.
That's insane.
Automatic.
I love it.
And these are our kids, which I'm very proud of.
Well, Any discretionary funds y'all have, you know, Corey's Corner is always looking to upgrade the studio.
Man.
Lighted,
Man.
cameras.
Man, you ain't see what happened today, man. You ain't catching me up.
Don't worry. No.
Ain't trying to be in no Rikers corner.
Corey's Corner is not trying to go to jail, Borough President. I promise you that. I'm talking about us filling out paperwork.
If you meet all legal standards, you're more than welcome to apply.
Chris, we're talking about filling out legitimate paperwork. We're not going to jail.
Exactly.
That don't work.
Too far.
We came too far. Now, in 2013, you became a city council member representing Southeast Queens in the Rockaways. What was your biggest challenge stepping into that role? But you was kind of groomed. But what was your biggest challenge?
Man, I had Hurricane Sandy stepping into the role.
Yeah, you had
Hurricane Sandy. So the Rockaways was underwater. Even when I was running, how do you campaign in a community where people are pumping out their basements? So that was my campaign, is getting resources out there. James Sanders will tell you that, you know, I created Mount Donovan. I filled an office with supplies. There were supplies coming in from all over the country.
Yes.
And just randomly, like on social media, people would inbox, hey, we'll drive you need a generator. People drove generators into Far Rockaway for us. We didn't have any lights. I mean, it was really, people's lives were upended. I don't have to tell you that. But finally, we got the electricity on, which was a big fight. That was 90% of the battle, to get the electricity up. And once that went up, we pretty much were able to get back to some level of normalcy. So rebuilding the Rockaways was really the hugest undertaking I had to take coming in. And a lot of people thought, oh, Rockaways, you know, you would go into certain abandoned parts of the Rockaway. They're like, oh, the storm did this. And I remember telling Bill de Blasio, no, actually, this is the way it was out here. Has nothing to do with the storm.
Right.
So, you know, one of my first efforts was to rezone Far Rockaway. And I'm very proud that we really did. Everybody talks about affordable housing. We really did true affordable housing. And out of that came a $300 million deal with then Mayor Bill de Blasio. So we built a new Far Rockaway library.
Right.
We took an empty parking lot on Mott Avenue, which was very sketchy, in which we'll cut the final ribbon on in April or May, 1,800 units of affordable housing. Far Rockaway was also a food desert.
Right.
2 supermarkets coming in now. So 2 supermarkets are now no longer a food desert. But more importantly, the people who live out there can live in the developments.
Exactly.
And it's something special to be said when you're paying $400, $500 a month in rent.
Right.
And you got views of the airport from some of these apartments.
Beautiful.
We just closed on a few weeks ago the first 300. So I lived in Ocean Village, which is now Arvin View.
Ocean Village.
I lived in Ocean Village. So there was 50 acres that were desolate. Every morning I woke up, desolate 50 acres. We now have redeveloped a community center there. We're breaking ground on 300 units. It's going to be the first what you call net zero community in the city, which means that 100% of the energy is generated on the site.
Wow.
And then
So they building a plant? Like
no, they're doing no plants. Geothermal, solar energy, battery storage.
Wow.
So remember, if you dig down in the earth, it's 55 degrees. The earth can heat and cool your apartment.
Okay.
So this is like a newer technology that people are using.
Okay.
But they drill down and then you're using the earth basically.
Wow.
So that's a big one. So 55 acres. And by the way, on the site we're generating energy now. Some of that energy is going into Ocean Village. Which means, guess what? Your electric bill is lower. Right. You know, so that's an exciting project. And then we're building a pool out there. We never had a public pool. So we allocated $26 million out of my budget. I got the governor, the mayor to put up. So a $60 million now endeavor to build an indoor and outdoor pool out there as well. So really we have, I feel like we were like 40 years behind out there.
Yes.
But now you look at the numbers. Every meeting I meet with the police commissioner, she's like, there's 2 precincts in New York City with a continuous drop in crime. And the leaders are the 101. And then there's like some precinct in Manhattan somewhere.
Well, it's funny you bring up Ocean Village. So as a young sergeant, not really making a lot of money, probably 60, 70. And I don't want to diminish people making less, but I wasn't making a lot of money. So I did a second job, and it was being a security guard at Ocean
You went
Village.
OB?
Yes.
What year?
This must be like late 90s.
Oh, that's late 90s. Okay.
So I would be at that booth, and it was
the
so
booth.
much. Yes.
Oh, that booth. I remember that
It was so much going on. People would always come and knock on the booth because they knew I was an off-duty cop working there.
Right.
And they would come, come out, security, come out. And I used to always look out the window and say, yo, I'm just here for the check. You gotta call the police. These people ain't gonna kill me out here.
It was rough out there then, too.
It was rough.
Listen, I witnessed my first shooting in Oceanville looking out the window.
I'm so happy to hear all of these things. I lived it. I know what Ocean Village was. So to see that you're doing all of this.
Listen, we had 1 year without a shooting in that whole area.
That's amazing.
Imagine on 365 without a shooting in Far Rock, especially in Edgemere.
Wow.
Because I would hear cannons.
Of course.
Rockets going up. But we went 365 without a shooting.
God bless Officer Dillon got murdered.
Yes. God bless him.
God bless him. The trial is still going on?
Yeah. I see it every day when we pass today. A lot of folks were out. So, yeah. But I think it's wrapping up, though.
It's wrapping up, yes. Yeah. So what moment, being a city councilman, you said, I'm built for bigger leadership?
I never really thought about what was next. I was like, listen, I'm going to ride out my 8 years and do what I need to do. And there was a few scenarios.
Was you in when they made it 12? They got 3 Bloomberg?
No, I missed that wave.
Okay.
But that was fine. I think
it was just one time.
Yeah, I think 8. I mean, I do think 12 is the correct count because you come in, if you don't know anything, it takes you 4 years just to figure out where the bathroom is at.
Okay.
And by the way, I was in City Hall like last week. I'm like, I didn't know there was a bathroom here. There's always a new bathroom to find, right? I'm like, wow, I was here all these years. I never knew there was a bathroom here.
Right.
So, there were three instances. I'll say I chaired the Environmental Protection Committee. Southeast Queens was always underwater when it rains. I was able to get $2.4 billion for Southeast Queens, specifically for 40 projects. So when you see them ripping up your streets and putting sewers in, that was us, right? And then, I move into leadership in the zoning committee. The zoning committee is where you approve all housing developments. And I was able to largely shape housing policy for New York City, which was we had something called mandatory inclusionary housing, which mandates that developers now put a minimum of 30% of real affordability in their projects. And real? They pay for it.
Borough President, is it real?
It is real. It's law.
You sure?
It is law.
Because I have so many people that fill out applications for these high end, but they have 10%, 20% for low end. But no, I don't know nobody. I know one person that has.
No, I do. And by the way, we're opening up in a few weeks, Willits Point, right outside Citi Field. 15% of those units are set aside for formerly homeless families as well.
Formerly homeless.
Think about that. You're going to be formerly homeless and living with views of Citi Field.
But what's the checks and balances? Who's making sure that it happens?
Well, it has to go through something called Housing Connect. And what I would say to you, why don't you see people getting in? Because for every building we put up, there's like 100,000 applicants.
I know that.
So that's a real challenge. We're in a housing crunch. Yeah. But absolutely, I know people who've gotten in.
Okay.
And you can't get any special treatment.
Right.
You go through the housing lottery process. And what I tell people is just to continue to fill out. Keep updating your information because you never know when you're going to get that call. So a lot of times people will give up in the midst of searching because they're like, I filled this out before. I didn't hear anything back. I do think the city needs to do a better job at responding to people. All right, you applied. That's great. Here's an update. Leaving people in lingo and not hearing anything doesn't provide the transparency you're talking about. So I think they do need to be more responsive to the constituencies applying.
Well, it's great to have a borough president here for me to ask that question for you to explain it to the people. That's great.
And we're going to be doing housing clinics at our office as well. We're working on something with the Mamdani administration right now that I think is going to be a pilot and very unique, where we bring HPD into our office and then you're filling out all your information. Because the problem is also if you fill out all your information, you forget a form.
Right.
Then you're at square one. You're disqualified.
Right.
So how do we ensure that, we get it right the first time?
That's great. So we're at a segment at Corey's Corner where we play this little game called Spitfire Round. I'm going to ask you 10 rapid fire questions. It's a fun game.
Okay.
You say yes, no, you pick an answer. Try not to expand on it. Really want to be like quick, 1 minute. You ready?
Yes. I hope I am.
Queens or anywhere else in the world?
Queens.
One word to describe your leadership style.
Urgency.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Favorite Queens food spot?
Ooh,
Don't get yourself in trouble.
all of them but the door.
Okay. Biggest misconception about Queens.
Oh, biggest misconception that we snobby.
Yeah. A public service or private life, which is harder?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, public service is hard. You know, it's a thankless job.
Yes. Unless you're doing something for somebody.
Right.
One artist that represents Queens culture to
Come
you.
on, Nas.
I
Are we
want
even
you
doing
to
it?
answer that. I love it. If you weren't in politics, what would you be doing?
Ooh, if I wasn't in politics, I did work for Chris Lighty at one point, but I would probably be doing the aviation route.
Okay. God bless Chris Lighty. Mentorship or self-made, which matters more?
Mentorship.
Last one. Legacy or impact?
Well, legacy leaves impact, so that's sort of a hard one. If you're doing legacy, but both. Definitively. Listen, we're building a soccer stadium right now.
Yes, you are.
That's legacy.
That's a lot of legacy and a whole lot of impact.
Thank you for
participating in the Spitfire
two
round.
casinos, baby.
Yes.
Queens get the money.
Oh, yes, I love it.
What's poppin'? I'm Samson Styles, and right now you're listening to Corey's Corner on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
Before we move forward, let me take you somewhere for a second. Everything we talk about in this show, power, accountability, loyalty, redemption, is not just a conversation for me. I've lived it, earned it, and survived it. I've seen both sides of the system. I've walked the streets. I've worn the badge. I carried the weight of decisions that changed people's lives. That's why I wrote Once a Cop, The Street, The Law, Two Worlds, One Man. It's just not a book. It's the raw, unfiltered truth about the journey from the corners of streets of Queens, New York, to the high glass hallways of One Police Plaza, which is the NYPD headquarters. And I also had a feature documentary called Cops and Robbers Story. You can catch it on YouTube and Apple TV. It actually pulls the curtain back even further. No headlines, no sound bites, just a human story behind the uniform. Because behind every badge is a man, behind every rank is a story, behind every story is a choice. Now a word from our sponsors.
This is not your average vodka. This is Vodkila, a decade of cultured excellence. The best of both worlds, the true taste of victory. A delicious dyad spirit, the world's finest blend of vodka and tequila. Vodkila, the perfect blend. From rooftop parties to quiet moments with friends, Vodkila brings the flavor, the fire, and the unforgettable. So pour it, share it, live it. Vodkila. Visit vodkila.net and order yours today.
Let's get back into it. Since becoming Borough President, you've allocated over $400 million across Queens. What investment are you most proud of and why? And don't say Jamaica High School. I don't hear nothing else about Jamaica High School.
Listen, $120 million to our schools is nothing to sneeze at. And,
No,
I'm a PS 136 kid as well.
Oh, me too.
You went to 136?
Yes.
K through 5, baby.
I got kicked out.
You got kicked out?
Yes.
I got jumped by 2. That's the first time I ever got jumped, was in 136 in the 3rd grade.
Got kicked
2
out.
guys jumped me.
You know how the girls and the boys, remember we used to walk up the stairs? You know how you walk up the stairs? So Simone, God rest her soul, she passed away. I was first, she was first, going up the stairs, and she was pushing me. So the teacher only see the retaliation.
Right.
So I was like, stop. She wouldn't stop. I pushed her, and all the girls felt like dominoes. And you know how those steps were metal.
Oh, yes. They still are metal.
Yes. So they got in trouble. They kicked me out of the school because I was out of zone. I had moved. My mom's moved. And they found out I lived out of the district, and I got kicked out.
Oh, man. Well, listen, I went back to the school, and this scar, actually, very interesting. I got this scar on the playground, because you know how playing football in the playground.
Uh-huh.
And so I go back to the school, and the student council president, this young lady, says, I'm tired of taking kids to the nurse because we all are getting scars in the playground. And I said, wait a minute, I got a scar in the playground. And the principal introduces me in each class when we go into, and he says, okay, here's a trivia question for you kids. Where did he go to school? He got a scar in his playground. 136. So the kids are still getting scars. So we allocate, I think, close to $5 million. We're fixing the playground, The library probably wasn't touched. You older than me.
Right.
Hadn't been touched since you were there.
Right.
We're doing the auditorium over, so fully funded that.
Wow.
And these kids came to our budget hearing that we did and advocated for their school body.
Oh, that's
doing
good.
the library over as well. We gave them technology. So I would say education is big for me. Healthcare is also a big one for us.
Right.
We've done $46 million in healthcare. Remember, pandemic, we were hit the hardest, right? We had the most hospital closures.
Yes.
In the city, I think we lost like 9 hospitals or something like that. So why did the pandemic impact us more than anyone else? We didn't have enough beds. Right. So most impacted. So we are now building a new H&H Gotham Center in Far Rockaway, which is going on Mott Avenue. That's going to service 21,000 people a year, state of the art. And then that $46 million is going to everything from cancer care equipment to, and some of the places that our ladies are delivering their babies weren't updated since like 1940. So you look at St. John's Hospital in Far Rockaway. We did a new maternity ward there. Elmhurst Hospital, new maternity ward there as well, right? To make sure that, our babies are not being born into disparities. It's bad enough we coming from neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to hit on just one final thing, which was very important to me. 2 weeks into working in the city council, my grandmother died of cancer. I had a 40-year-old aunt who died of cancer as well in, I want to say 08-ish, 09-ish. Then this month, I lost 2 aunts to cancer, just one last week. One last week, and then earlier in the month. And so we find out that the governor has a special grant, one for upstate, one for downstate, to address, to invest in hospitals, not specifically cancer.
Right.
So I called Governor Hochul up, and I'm like, listen, I know you got this $180 million fund. I need that money to come to Queens. We need to build a standalone cancer center in Queens. And Jamaica Hospital had already put the proposal in front of me. Right. So I call her Sunday. She's like, meet me at Jamaica Hospital Thursday or Friday. That Thursday or Friday. So I'm like, why am I meeting her at Jamaica Hospital? Right. And guess what? She drops $180 million for us. Wow. We are building the first standalone cancer center, where the nursing home is next to Jamaica. That's coming down, and that's going to be a state-of-the-art cancer center run by Sloan, in conjunction with Sloan Memorial Kettering.
Oh, wow.
Where my grandmother died at Sloan.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
So it's just a full circle moment to be able to bring that sort of investment back. Nice. But we've done everything, $400 million, any playground. I just did. I talked about Rochdale, the basketball courts, but, we're also investing heavily in places like Cambria Heights. I'm doing 176 playground yard that hasn't been touched forever. We're doing Baisley Park this year is going to be a huge investment of $6.1 million from us on the 157th Street side of Baisley Park. Yeah. So we are really intentionally putting money, and we put money all over Queens.
Yeah, I love it.
But as the borough president from the South, I'm like, if we don't correct this, who's going to do it?
I love it.
And I just want to mention too, we, even though I've allocated $400 million, doesn't mean we don't advocate. Eric Adams, when he got elected, we went out and I said to him, if we don't fix Jamaica Avenue, then what are we here for? And out of that birthed $70 million. So you're going to see Jamaica Avenue get a huge facelift. We also just finished the deal to build a new bus terminal at 165.
Yes.
That's going to be brand new, state of the art.
Where do they put at the Coliseum? A building?
The private developer has not talked to us yet because they still have their whatever. I think they have their antennas out.
Right.
But it's going to be housing and a combination of things.
Okay. Nice combination building. Queens is known as the world's borough. How do you ensure that diversity is reflected in real policy, not just a slogan?
Well, look at what we're doing on community boards. The community boards, when I came in, for those who don't know what the community boards are, they're local government at its best.
Yes.
Comprised of up to 50 members. And when I came in, largely a lot of the community boards were, and not even trying to be racist, just white and male.
Right.
And we literally have reformed the way community board outreach is done. And I can say this is the most diverse class of community boards we've ever seen. We still have some work to do with particular boards.
Right.
But term limits kicks in for community boards, something I supported in the city council next year. So you're going to start to see a lot more of the board reflective of the communities. But very happy to say that we've made a lot of progress around making sure women are represented. Black and brown New Yorkers are represented. Our South Asian brothers and sisters who lived in these neighborhoods, who've invested in these neighborhoods, but weren't reflective in the community board. So that is a huge undertaking. We have over 700 community board members. for every year we put out the application, even if we have 200 spots, we get almost 1,000 applications.
Wow.
So people are really interested in, and we're even addressing the age gap, because
Yes.
at one point everybody was 70 on the community board.
Yes.
We lowered the age to 16, so we have high school kids on the community boards as
that's
well.
Beautiful.
So that's one policy area, but as the borough president on any projects, we are always talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, and mandating reporting mechanisms. So if Resorts World and Metropolitan Park say they're going to focus on making sure these contracts are going to minorities, we need to see that in writing and reported regularly to us.
Great. The Immigrant Welcome Center has served thousands. What story sticks out most to you from the Immigration Welcome Center?
I mean, we were getting calls before the asylum crisis. We get calls from the Darien Gap. So CNN covered it when we opened it, and people were literally handing flyers out at the border. They didn't contact our office. At the border. At the border. They like, go to Donovan Richards' office. You're gonna get a job. You're gonna get free housing, and the expectations were a little crazy. But being out in the communities like Corona are really special. There's some really special people up there. We work extremely close with our street vendors community up there as well. Somebody Eric targeted, but we won that because I held up the soccer stadium. He kicked all my street vendors out of Corona Plaza, and I said, well, if you don't put them back, I'm not signing off on this stadium.
Right.
And by Friday, it must have been Wednesday. By Friday, they were back on. I was like, you got to pick your battles, brother.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's countless stories, and unfortunately with the Trump targeting our immigrant communities, they're really afraid to come around to government. So it's more, we've had to readjust our strategy and really be out. We got to be out in the street talking to people.
Can we get into, you had a public clash with Robert Holden, councilman.
Okay. A public clash.
A public clash. It turned into a racial flashpoint. Some people saw it as you standing your ground. Others saw it as escalating tensions. Did you handle that situation the right way, or would you do anything different?
From Southeast Queens, man. We ain't backing down from no fight. And a lot of it is, listen, I'm the first black man here.
Yes.
And I remember even around the community board conversation, he says I'm anti-white, even though the community boards were completely white.
Right.
So we sent the message because by the rules invested in us by the city,
right,
we have to ensure the boards are diverse.
Right.
So I remember him getting mad, and he leaked to the New York Post that I'm not putting white people on the community boards, which was far from the truth.
They was
already there. So the bottom line is we just needed to ensure that there was a diverse pool of people serving on their boards. And, one of the things we do when council members come in, because they get to recommend, but we appoint. They could recommend up to half, but we appoint. So we always look at the demographic information. We're like, okay, we're short in Latino representation here.
Right.
We're short in Black representation here. We're short in women. We're short in Asian representation, South Asian representation. So listen, I have no regrets. I don't back down, because when I believe in something, I believe in it. And we could say, all right, could you handle things a little better? Do you got to tweet at the guy this way? I mean, whatever.
Yeah. Now, what about the Forest Hill Stadium controversy? You accused some of the residents of racism.
Oh, hell yeah.
Saying their complaints were really about who was coming into the neighborhood, not just
Listen,
noise.
Some of these people watched the Rick Ross videos. We know for a fact, if you're watching every damn hustling video, they're scaring themselves. They're like, look who's coming into the neighborhood. Now, this is LL Cool J hosting a concert, right? I mean, these ain't the young bucks. I realize I'm the old guy now in the club. Everybody there is 40 and up. I'm like, we the old guys now, And it was a peaceful concert. But what we realized is after that concert, there was a surge of complaints on the stadium. So there was a direct correlation, because Nas played there before, but Nas has a very mixed audience.
Right.
But when they started watching the entertainers performing for LL Cool, and we know LL Cool J's cool, he ain't bringing no ruckus into the neighborhood. That's when the complaints went up. So I called it out. No regrets in calling out. And guess what? That board was voted out by their own residents recently.
Wow. So
you have some very progressive white brothers and sisters who also recognize that a lot of this was racially inflammatory, what they were doing.
Yeah. I see with these progressives, I could see race relations getting better in the next 20 years. Because a lot of the progressives and the younger people, they don't really see it. They're like, Yo, that's my guy. That's
And
my
we grew up and we're all coexisting, right? We all going to college together. We all are eating out together. You know, so it's a much different. I think I have so much faith in the next generation.
Yes.
To do better, because I think that we all have. Listen, without a doubt, there's still bias out there. Without a doubt, there's still. You know, listen, even among some of our progressive friends,
of course,
you know, but the bottom line is that these are individuals who don't mind coexisting.
Yeah, my son is he's graduating this year and going to college. I was like, I want you to go to HBCU. This is probably like 4 years ago. He was in junior high. I said, I want you to go to HBCU. He was like, Dad, it's not the world. Gotta be white, gotta be black, gotta be Spanish.
Right.
And I just cracked up.
Right.
And by the way, he's going to HBCU. It's just funny. All right. After Hurricane Ida, you launched Operation Urban Sustainability. It's big. What did that disaster teach you about climate readiness in urban communities?
Well, Ida was, and I
so
remember.
You had two. You had Hurricane.
Yep, and I had Ida.
Katrina.
Sandy. Ida.
And you had Ida. Wow.
Yeah, and I remember walking East Elmhurst with Joe Biden, President Biden then, and you know, I mean, there's never a learning lesson for me. What I would say is I recognize that when I would wake up in the morning, whenever there's a major storm coming, I would automatically think, oh, Rockaways is going to get hit. Rosedale's going to get hit.
Oh, you're right.
But now it's whack-a-mole. You can wake up as Forest Hills.
Uh-huh.
It is East Elmhurst.
Right.
It could be Whitestone. It could be College Point.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, so through urban sustainability, we launched a plan, like 100-point plan with different strategies on how to address a lot of flooding. So things like blue belts, which we're going to do in Casina. Flushing, we lost a lot of people to death after Ida. People drowned in their basements. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
People drowned in their basements. And so we now are looking to retain and return that land back to parkland, and then to build what we call a blue belt system, which will act as a sponge in the event we get major rainstorms. So the big problem we have now as a city is the rain comes fast and furious.
Yes.
And the sewer system, people say it's the sewers, but the sewer system cannot hold that amount of water. I don't care how great a sewer system you have in that short a period of time. So all the stuff we're doing on infrastructure, the money we got up there, unfortunately, Trump took some of that money back. We had $150 million for East Elmhurst and Flushing, and he took that money back. So, and this is not. And what we always say is infrastructure should not be a partisan issue. Infrastructure doesn't care if you're Democrat or Republican.
Exactly.
That's just, it should be a no-brainer to invest in infrastructure.
Queens got hit hard with COVID.
Yeah.
Very hard, like you previously said. What was the toughest decision you had to make during COVID?
I mean, the toughest decision is you putting your body on the line. Because I had to be out there giving masks out. You don't know if you're bringing that stuff back to your family.
That's right.
And so I'm in Rochdale literally with Kevin Livingston going door to door with masks and giving out food. And that was one of the other things I had to do. We had to figure out how to get food into people's apartments, into their hands. And so I remember in the council loading up my personal Jeep. I had a Durango back then. Some of my staff thought I was crazy. I'm like, no, we're going to figure this out. I got somebody who wants to give food weekly to us to distribute, especially for our public housing residents. So we would go into every development and we would unload outside. We couldn't be indoors.
Right.
And we would go, and that wasn't even a tough decision for me. I mean, but I did recognize that there would be a challenge. And then remember, I think some of the toughest decisions I had to make during that period were revolving around public safety.
Yes.
Because I was the chair of the Public Safety Committee. Remember, we had Eric Garner, we had George Floyd, and a lot of policy decisions had to be made on the budget because we were in a deficit. And I would say that was arguably the toughest time. But when I got in, like I said, as the borough president, you know, I got Steve Cohen to open up City Field, so we were doing testing. And actually, one of my biggest fights, tell you the truth, was with Bill de Blasio. And that was a tough decision because I started to look at Taiwan. Taiwan was next door to mainland China during COVID, but they only had like 40 cases.
Right.
And they were doing something called testing and tracing. And Bill de Blasio, so we're on the line, it's like all the council, remember this is a public story. And I say, Mr. Mayor, I think we need to look at testing and tracing. And he's like, Donovan, you're no doctor. You don't know what you're talking about. I said, well, my initials are DR, sir. They are DR. So Mitch Katz gets on the line, and the mayor's like, Donovan, okay, let Mitch Katz talk. And he's like, Mitch Katz, he's still the head of H&H for the city, says, well, Donovan is not entirely wrong.
Right.
And Bill de Blasio snatched the 116 precinct because I challenged him on that line.
Really?
And then he mass taken it away with the George Floyd stuff.
Right.
And he apologized in the door to me, by the way. He admitted he could have handled that better. True story. And that was a tough political decision. But I believe we saved so many lives because they came back Monday. So imagine the argument is Wednesday or Thursday.
Right.
Monday, Bill de Blasio was on the news talking about we're going to do testing and tracing.
And you was like,
and I said, man, I was not wrong. But imagine how many lives we saved through pushing. I can't even complicate it, right?
You can't even count them.
Yeah.
So now you have Mayor Adami leading New York City. What are your honest thoughts on his leadership so far, and what does it mean for Queens? And he just moved out of Queens into Gracie Mansion.
Well, it's been I think he's still getting his sea legs,
yes.
And I tell people, give the guy just got, like, he came from at least me, I had like city executive experience, right? This guy just got here. He came from the assembly. City government and state government totally operate differently.
I keep telling people, give the
guys. What is it? It's 3-4. What is it? April yet? Not even April yet. Tomorrow's April. Like, give the guy a chance. I think he's made some unforced errors. I think on property tax, that was an unforced error. And I think, in terms of a lot of the campaign promises, as most of us recognize, when you get in these seats, reality hit. You only got so much money to do. You're like, wait a minute, I can't do all free buses?
Right.
Somebody's got to pay for it, right? I think he is very responsive to me. I have no issues. I could literally text him now, even if it takes him a few days to get back to me.
Yeah.
He's very responsive on the issues. We had major conversation around property taxes. I said, I'll go to Albany for you. I'll do it, but you got to take that off the table. So that was, he told me Sunday, he was at Allen A&E and then we did the Pagua parade. So I think in terms of him getting out there, really, as I'm the borough president, you say I'm everywhere. I think he's really made a real effort to sort of be in every corner. And we'll see how the budget shapes out, because your budget is a document it says who you are, of your priorities.
Sure. And,
I'm Queens get the money all day. So, I want to see what projects he's going to invest in here. But in terms of the UPK, the 2K, like, spot on.
Right.
Spot on.
Okay. So with all of these things going internationally, globally now, saying we're at war right now as we sit here, how are these ongoing conflicts affecting Queens?
It's a real challenge. One, we're spending $1 billion or $2 billion a day on this war.
Yes.
All right. So imagine what that money can go towards. We're talking about a deficit of $5 billion in the city right now. Imagine what $1 billion a day could do for New York City, right?
Oh man.
So $2 billion a day on this war, and part of the challenge we've had, and we do coexist, but hate crimes are up. Hate crimes are up in certain portions of the borough.
So when you say hate crimes are up, because we got to be very specific.
Yep.
Because you have the
anti-Semitism.
Right.
Yep.
So you have the Jewish sector,
and then you have anti-black, a lot of anti-black crimes too.
Well, that's why the Borough President is here to clarify.
Yep.
And you don't know what the national numbers are, but hate crimes are up, and I believe they are up more against Jewish New York City residents, but there are a lot of other hate crimes too. So we gotta be clear on that, because
I wrote the
crimes,
right.
Borough President, people are just thinking Jewish people
only. Right.
Only.
Islamophobia is up. I passed the legislation that mandates the NYPD to report on CompStat. That was my legislation.
Okay.
All right. So NYPD has to publicly report on that. We have a hate crimes task force we just met last week. Okay. So we get to watch the numbers. The numbers are really skyrocketing on anti-Semitism. Right. A lot of the polarization around the war definitely has caused a lot of this. And remember, for every one hate crime reported, there's like 10 or 15 that go unreported.
Of course.
And even for black folks, we not calling 911 or 311 to register a complaint all the time. I tell us we need to make sure we do when we get that in. Because actually, when we created the Office to Prevent Hate Crimes, which is another piece of legislation that passed through my Committee on Public Safety, actually anti-black crimes were up over anti-Semitism. When we passed that bill, black people were leading in hate crimes.
Right.
So, hate has no place here, I always say. And we just got a lot of work to continue to do to educate people. You know, we're going to do a Holocaust memorial at Borough Hall because a lot of the last living Holocaust survivors are in Queens. They're in that neighborhood, right? They're in Forest Hills.
Do you want to hear a fun fact?
Go ahead.
Do you know I used to teach the Holocaust?
Really?
At the Simon Wiesenthal
Really?
Simon Wiesenthal Center. They flew me to Beverly Hills. That's where the headquarters is in Beverly Hills. I went out there for maybe 4 days training, and I came back to New York City, and I used to train cops and school safety officers and I think transit people about the Holocaust.
Wow.
I know the Holocaust.
Right.
So if anybody wants to hire me to teach the Holocaust, just reach out.
Exactly.
Yes, I used to teach the Holocaust. But now, with Queens this is what I want to know. With Queens moving full-scale casino, we're going to have live dealers now. And the casino's been there like 10 years, if not more. But you got live dealers and major development. I'm excited about the development that's going on. You know, Kevin, I'm still waiting for you to come up. Kevin or Michelle will be here soon.
All right,
Kevin or Michelle.
Good.
Do you think that's going to be a boom or a risk to the community?
Boom.
Going live.
30,000 jobs. 30,000 jobs. And what I'll say is I like to look at science, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when resorts opened its doors, people said crime is going to go through the roof.
Yeah.
Foreclosures are going to peak in this neighborhood, and none of it happened.
None.
And by the way,
houses went up.
The average salary is $80,000.
Wow.
At resorts, average salary is $80,000, and we did our due diligence because I had a vote on both casinos. Mm-hmm. We said resorts, show us where your workforce comes from. Clearly, can see Southeast Queens heavily, and you know there's going to be mandated reporting on who they hire in the future. But also, we mandated that they go into public housing to do job fairs. I want them in South Jamaica. I want them in Baisley houses. I want them in Rochdale. I want them in Ozone Park, like those little wherever Nicki Minaj husband from. Those buildings up there on
I know what you're talking.
You know what I'm talking about. right in Ozone Park. So we want them to be very intentional on that, and that's moving forward. And then for Steve Cohen's project, we're gonna have 10,000 people working on that site a day.
Wow, that's Shea.
And that's 23,000 jobs.
I keep saying Shea Stadium, but it's
City Field,
right next to that.
And that's going to be huge. And you know, we've inked ironclad deals with these developers, both sites.
The scale looks beautiful.
And then you got Hard Rock going in there, and then you're going to have stores, a lot of commercial development at resorts. You're going to have the Steam Center going in the Kenny the Jet Center.
You're getting rid of all of those junkyards, buying them out?
They're going to get... Oh, yeah. They're pretty much bought out already, yeah. Okay. It's just a matter of time for the last phase of them, you know, but really the owners of those sites are just going to wait to jack up the price. Yeah. Have you been up there? The soccer stadium is going to be finished by next year. Yes. Bro, you got to go. The housing is done. We're going to do 300 units of senior housing next to the soccer stadium, and then eventually those junkyards will go.
So Governor Hochul is running for a second term. She tapped our good friend Adrian Adams, and a little bird whispered in my ear that you actually was going to be the front runner for lieutenant governor. But you don't have to speak about that because Adrian is running now.
Yep.
What are your feelings on, or your honest assessment on Hochul's leadership so far?
Listen, for Queens, she's done wonders. I mean, I talked about the cancer center, the redevelopment of Creedmoor.
My father worked at Creedmoor when they had the patients there.
Yep. So you got 50 acres there that have sat desolate for a very long time. And guess what? She's the only governor who had the guts to work with us. We did a partnership and issued an RFP on the site. We did what we call a GPP. We overrode city council land use control. Okay. We knew they would never get to a yes on the project.
Right.
And we are moving forward with 2,100 units, a new school, a lot of affordable home ownership, by the way. So as we talk about home ownership being largely out of reach, especially for the next generation, we now will have those mother-daughter deals up there. Right. Living situation quarters. So I'm very proud of that. New community center, new commercial going in there. And then I could talk about the IBX. We're doing light rail that's going to run from Bay Ridge to Maspeth, cut into Jackson Heights, 40 minutes end to end.
Wow! To
get from Brooklyn into that part of Queens, which is a transit desert. In a few weeks, we're going to flip the switch on something called Hydro Quebec, which is we're running hydroelectricity from Canada to Queens. That's going to power 1 million homes. So in each one of these instances, these are thousands of jobs. Even her leadership on the casinos was really good. She had a firewall. No one could ever accuse us of taking anything. But she really did a very good job in making sure there was a firewall between the developers and us. And if we had a question, we had to go through through an independent legal team who would answer have Kevin answer the questions. And, and so for me, she should be reelected hands down. I mean, there's always policy decisions that we may not see 100% eye to eye on, but in terms of serving this borough, there's been no governor better to us.
Wow. We're winding down now. From a Queens Small Business Grant Program to the JFK Airport redevelopment, how do you balance economic growth with protecting local communities?
So when I got into office, we were at about a 24% unemployment rate. We got down to as close as 7-something%. And then obviously Trump inflation got us up to 9, I think now 9.2 now. But we were the lowest in the city at one point. And
Almost 5. I'm paying like $5.75 in gas because I have to put premium.
Well, good luck with the war.
I know, and I just saw it before I came here. They're saying that if they stop the war tonight, we're still paying that gas for the next 3 years.
Exactly. That's what the economic analysts are saying. Yeah. So elections have consequences. But the small business grant program was great because we got $20 million from the owner of the Mets, Steve Cohen. And then what we did is we had them focus in on the communities that didn't really get the support from the feds. Remember, the feds had this grant or low interest loan program that business owners will be able to pay back the PPP loan. Right. But we got grant money. Okay. So on average, we through that $20 million fund funded close to over 900 businesses got grant dollars. So that means $10,000 like straight to you owe rent. Nobody's coming in your store during COVID. Literally, we paid off people's balances. So we kept a lot of the small businesses open in places like Southeast Queens on Roosevelt Avenue, which was hit very hard. And with a keen focus on making sure that the neighborhoods, like I said, that didn't see the federal assistance got this.
You helped secure and make sure that JetBlue had a presence in Queens.
Not just a presence. They were going to leave. They were leaving. They were leaving. They were going to Florida.
Really?
Oh, yeah. They were taking their act to Florida.
And you was able to stop that. Your team, your team.
Yeah, and that was I worked extremely close with the De Blasio administration. They had some quality of life stuff they were dealing with in LIC, and then we. Why
would they want to leave when you build a $20 billion project?
Well, think about during the that deal was off during that period because so we revived the program when I became BP, but in all honesty, the JFK project was dead. Like a lot of the investors had pulled out. Right. Magic Johnson was a big investor who helped to save the project as well. Right. By the way, to get Terminal 1 done. Right. And then we worked with De Blasio to figure out like some incentives. But I wouldn't sign off on the incentives for them until I knew their local hiring goals. I needed to hear a little bit more on what they were going to do to make sure that they were working with our communities to strengthen the workforce. But we convinced them to stay. Yeah.
Today, headline news, big scandal in New York City politics. So I'm not really asking you about that scandal.
Yep.
Just scandals in general. Over the last 4 to 5 years, there's been serious scandals in politics. We just talking in the New York State area. And today to wake up and see Farrah Lewis, her sister, Rodney's husband, a cop that just retired and got a $7 million no bid emergency contract. Like for me, I look at this stuff and say, this is not even rocket science to figure that something happened. I don't know what happened. Right. But it's easy to connect the dots. And I always tell politicians and people who want to be in politics, you're never going to get rich in politics.
You're never going to get rich.
But you can get rich when you leave.
Right.
If you do the right thing in office, out of office, people remember. And it could be very lucrative. You open up a lobbying firm, so on and so forth. I don't have to tell you that.
Innocent to proven guilty, but the bottom line is you have to carry yourself with integrity. And there are a lot of characters out there, Corey. There are a lot of characters. And I'm always grateful that I got people around me. I don't take meetings with characters by myself.
Exactly.
I don't take meetings with characters. And sometimes people, I call them characters because they are. And don't think that you're not tested. Like, there are people will test you. I remember my first 2 weeks in the city council, by the way. So I get elected, and these guys are trying to open a liquor store across the street from Springfield High School. Now, a liquor store has to be a certain distance from a school.
Yeah, sorry.
And so they come to me. I look at it. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be able to stop this. So I say, all right. I try to negotiate with them. I'm like, can you close the store at 3:00?
Right.
When the kids are getting out of school, can you support scholarships? Can you support a program around alcoholism to teach them the dangers of alcoholism? And they agree to all the specific points. Now, I'm just elected, and they change the locks in because normally so I get a call from them. They say, we're good on all the terms. So I get a call from them, like, can we meet Sunday morning? So I'm like, okay, sure. There's a Dunkin' Donuts. I didn't even have the keys to my office because they were switching the locks out. So I go into Dunkin' Donuts, and the guys are like, and this is publicly reported. I actually got an award from the DOI for being a good official.
Right.
And so we get coffee. Coffee sounds good in Dunkin' Donuts, right? I turn around, the guy's got a whole bunch of cash out. Like, you want lunch money?
Yeah.
And I'm like, we just had coffee. And the only reason I went to meet with them is because my wife, we just had become homeowners. I needed to get a hammer for the house.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, I got to go to Home Depot.
Yeah.
So I'll just stop you on the way and then go to Home Depot. And man, that thing shook me up. So I went to Home Depot, and I was like, something said, you know what? You got to report this.
Exactly.
And so I reported it. Anyway, DOI, I got to go in and interview with them. And they made me feel like I was the criminal at one point. But then there's camera footage. You can clearly see me like, no, I'm not one of those.
Right.
Anyway, make a long story short, these guys are trying to bribe me for like $300 for Jordan money.
Right.
For this liquor store. So they set up like this decoy staff member, and they go meet the guy, and they give him like $300 or something like that. I'm like, damn. I'm not. There's no amount of money, but damn, $300. I ain't going to jail for nothing.
So let me
with
tell you,
300.
I believe the future of politics. It's going to be two pronged. You either got to be Michael Bloomberg with a whole bunch of money, or they have to be Borough President Donovan Richard, who integrity is unwavering. Yeah. If you're not looking to do those two things,
sit out.
Don't come into politics. Yeah. You're filthy rich.
It's not worth it.
Or you have great integrity.
It's not worth it.
I'm seeing all my friends.
The scrutiny you go through, the scrutiny you put your family through. Yes. It's never worth it.
All my friends, I'm watching them. They all in the news, and I'm saying everybody can't be innocent.
Right. Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Oh man! All right, this is great. I'm gonna ask you the most important question that the producer wrote. When your son grows up, looks at your legacy, what do you want him to say about the work you did for Queens?
My daddy was a master builder. It's interesting is Sunday, I had promised him taking him to the park. I was tired as heck, but kids never forget. Yes. So I'm like, hopefully he forgets. Course. And so he's like, I want to go to the Blue Park. There's this park off of Laurelton Parkway. He calls it the Blue Park, but there's no kids in the park. So we drive past it. Absolutely not one kid in it. So he says, let's go to your park, Daddy. Because I redid the park on Brookville.
Right.
Your park, Daddy. And there's kids in the playground. But he's like, let's go to your park. And that I was like, wow. Like, he's associating. He knows I built this. Right. Your park.
Legacy. And impact. Well, I love it. So before we wrap, is there anything you'd like to share with the viewers and listeners?
Yeah, just, we are living in real challenging times right now. And it's very important. And, people look at politicians as gods, like we just can wave a magic wand and fix everything. And we're not. If I had to say anything to our neighbors, you got to show up. We need you to show up. We need you to be engaged. We need you to be locked in. Look out for your neighbors right now. There are people really struggling through this affordability crisis right now. One good deed goes a long way. I even shovel my neighbor's yard. She's there. She's 80-something years old by herself. Bro, the last storm, I'm like, man, this is a lot of snow. So I looked at it. I'm like, okay, am I gonna, she ain't coming outside anyway. She only come outside to put her garbage out.
Can't leave Nana stuck.
And I was like, I was so guilty. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just do it. But And you know what? She won't, I don't even ring her bell.
Right.
I just do it,
Yes.
So just one good deed goes a long way, but we all need to show up and hold each other together during this time.
I love it.
But damn, I was like, that was a lot of snow.
Let the people know how they can contact the Queensborough President's office.
Yeah, you can always go to queensbp.nyc.gov if you want to send me a personal email, johnrichards@queensbp.nyc.gov. And I'm very big on us being responsive as a staff. Please be patient with us. We have a large volume of calls and cases and things that we're working on. But you can contact us those two ways.
Okay.
And if you don't have internet, 718-286-3000.
Yes. What you said today goes beyond policy. It's about purpose, resilience, and what it really means to serve people. From your journey to Southeast Queens to leading one of the most diverse places in the world, your story is a reminder that leadership just isn't about position, it's about impact. We appreciate the work you're doing, not just for Queens, but as a blueprint for what community-driven leadership should look like everywhere. You always got a seat here on Corey's Corner. Thank you for pulling up to Corey's Corner. And to everyone tuning in, stay locked in because these are the voices shaping our communities and future. Queensborough President, thank you for coming on.
It's great to be on Corey's Corner. Queens get the money.
And all the honeys. Okay. For our listeners, if you found value in today's episode, please follow, subscribe, and share. This has been another episode of Corey's Corner. Until next time, always remember, keep grinding, keep pushing. And it's not about where you start. It's always about where you finish. I'm Corey Pegues, and I always keep it right, not real. Peace.
Special thanks to our executive producer, our engineers, and much respect to Corrupt Mob for making Corey's Corner possible.
Once a cop, let it knock, yeah. I for one thing, we should celebrate redemption instead of condemning it. Corey Pegues, what up? Talking truth, bruh. Check it out. Once a cop, I used to hunt the block.